Well, 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 we have a new Republican hero, guys. And actually, he's not that new. I've been keeping my eye on Thom Tillis because he's been disgruntled with Trump ever since Trump started messing with them tariffs. Check it out.
On CNBC yesterday, the normally mild-mannered, very pro-business Steve Leisman used a word I've never heard him use before in his analysis of the economy or the stock market or anything else. It was the word insane, and he applied it to Donald Trump.
I'm going to say this at risk of my job, Kelly, but what President Trump is doing is insane. It is absolutely insane. It is about the eighth reason we've had for the tariffs, and now he's saying he's putting 50% tariffs on Canada unless they agree to become the 51st state. That is insane. There is just no other way of describing it.
Okay, so Thom Tillis is a Republican senator of North Carolina, right? He made headlines months ago when he said, whose neck do I get to choke if these tariffs are wrong? So let's start from here. Check it out.
Let's get it all in, get it done, rip the Band-Aid off. It proved to be hugely unsuccessful. There were a lot of very visible projects, and the industry decided there needed to be a methodical sort of prioritization of what parts of the business needed to perform better sooner, and how do you layer onto that a comprehensive strategy. It looks like we've got a novel approach here in terms of an alla prima approach. I'm not a trade expert, and I'm not going to question it at this point. I do have a question about, at the end of the day, the other thing in management consulting we like to focus on is this concept of one throat to choke. In other words, when you're finally taking a look at a strategy, someone has to own it. And you can't say that it's the president or the vice president. So my first question to you, in this scenario, the decision maker who decided the alla prima approach, who has obviously had to have spent time anticipating what we saw in the markets and some of the pushback, I'm assuming this all got gamed out because it's a novel approach, it needed to be thought out. Whose throat do I get to choke if this proves to be wrong?
Well, Senator, you can certainly always talk to me, but
are you at the tip of the spear?
Well, I'm at the tip of the spear for certainly.
Did you propose the alla prima approach?
So, first of all, I would push back, Senator, just a little bit on this. We've excluded pharmaceuticals and semiconductors to take a different kind of approach.
So let's begin.
And we've excluded USMCA.
Section 232 and 301. We know particularly Section 232 is steel and aluminum. Section 301 is Chinese imports, where there's no other provider. I overheard you say that maybe, or I thought I heard you say in response to another question, that for the near term there won't be any exclusions. Is that true of China, where they have said the U.S. is unilaterally bullying and completely groundless, and they're going to fight to the end? Several people in North Carolina asking.
So the president, again, is the final decision maker on all of these things, and he has directed that there not be exclusions.
There will not be any exclusions on steel, aluminum, or any products that are only manufactured in China for the foreseeable future until China determines what the end is, because they said they're going to fight to the end. Again, I'm just trying to communicate questions that I've asked, so there will be no exclusions. Yes. I won't waste your time asking for them. That's the main reason I wanted to ask the question. So again, I'm just trying to get my head around the logic of an alla prima approach, and I'm waiting to be. I'm waiting to see it be successful. But it just seems like we've decided to begin a trade war on all fronts. And that's okay if the person who thought this through has an answer for why you go after partners that we have a very long storied relationship with. Maybe we give some developing countries a break because we're trying to actually get their economies functioning, make them look to the West versus to Chinese investment. So it just seems like, again, I'm getting my head around the alla prima approach. I'm not condemning it because I'm not a trade expert, but I still, at some point, and I understand that you are the trade rep. So if you own this decision, then I'll look to you to figure out if we're going to be successful. If you don't on the decision, I'm just trying to figure out whose throat I get to choke if it's wrong, and who I put up on a platform and thank them for the novel approach that was successful if they're right.
Tonight, breaking news as we come on the air. The market's closing down late today as President Trump escalates the trade war with China, slapping new tariffs on China tonight. Elon Musk calling President Trump's top trade advisor dumber than a sack of bricks. And the Republican senator asking tonight on these tariffs, whose throat do I get to choke if this is wrong?
79 points since President Trump announced his massive tariffs last week, down 10% in 4 days. On Capitol Hill, Republican senators who rarely break from Trump now feeling the pressure from companies and constituents back home.
House Speaker Mike Johnson, for his part, asked that members trust the process and the president. In addition, he told them he'd arrange for someone from the administration to talk to the conference. The rumblings in the House come as the upper chamber has grown more vocal in their concerns.
Actions. Whose throat do I get to choke if this proves to be wrong?
Trade negotiations with some countries are happening. China wasn't one of them.
Right now, Japan is flying here to make a deal. South Korea is flying here to make a deal.
And within the White House, the tariffs exposing deep divisions among some of the president's closest aides. Elon Musk attacking trade advisor Peter Navarro as a moron who's dumber than a sack of bricks. Navarro swiping back at Musk, saying his Tesla cars are built with foreign parts.
Elon's a car manufacturer, but he's not a car manufacturer. He's a car assembler.
Announcing he is pausing most of his sweeping retaliatory tariffs just 13 hours after they went into effect.
Well, I thought that people were jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippy, you know? They were getting a little bit yippy, a little bit afraid.
Last night, a very different tone.
I know what the hell I'm doing. I know what I'm doing, and you know what I'm doing too. That's why you vote for me.
Even this morning, Trump writing, "Be cool, everything is going to work out well." Wall Street in a tailspin in the week since Trump unveiled his massive tariffs. The Dow dropping more than 4,500 points.
Donald Trump's chief trade advisor, Peter Navarro, will be trying to fall asleep tonight wondering if he will serve as many days in the second Trump administration as he served in federal prison for lying for Donald Trump. Peter Navarro, you might recall, tried to get away with the lie that he did not have to respond to a congressional subpoena from the January 6th committee because he was protected by executive privilege. That was a lie. And at his trial in federal court in Washington, D.C., that lie got him convicted of contempt of Congress and sentenced to federal prison, where he served 120 days. Peter Navarro was a private citizen when he was claiming an executive privilege that did not exist. Peter Navarro now needs 42 more days in the Trump administration to match his 120 days in prison. And right now, Elon Musk is saying everything he can publicly say to get Peter Navarro fired immediately. Personal genius has called Peter Navarro a moron. Even Donald Trump can figure out how Elon Musk really feels about someone who would take a moron's advice. It got worse for Peter Navarro as Elon Musk and his brother Kimball Musk, a member of the board of Tesla, joined in double-team Twitter attacks of Peter Navarro as the day wore on that included nastier words than moron that I cannot say on this program. Yesterday, Elon Musk's brother, Kimball Musk, directly attacked Donald Trump, saying, as I reported here last night, who would have thought that Trump was actually the most high-tax American president in generations? Through his tariff strategy, Trump has implemented a structural permanent tax on the American consumer. Elon Musk's brother is a wholly owned subsidiary of Elon Musk, and as a board member of Tesla, can be fairly assumed to never say a word publicly that Elon Musk doesn't approve of. And so tonight, Donald Trump is just one Musk away from being directly attacked by the richest person in the world for creating the biggest tax increase in American history all by himself. And so, as Donald Trump rests his weary head on his pillow tonight, with his hair in whatever protective device he uses for sleeping, he has to wonder, when will Elon Musk turn on me? Donald Trump knows Elon Musk is not a patient person. Elon Musk has personally lost more money to the Trump tariffs than any other person in the world. In the first hour of the stock market's opening today, another day when Elon Musk lost more money, Elon Musk tweeted, "Navarro is dumber than a sack of bricks." And then, during the afternoon session when the stock market was sinking badly and Elon Musk was losing even more money once again today, Elon Musk tweeted, "I'd like to apologize to Bricks for calling Peter Navarro dumber than a sack of bricks. That was so unfair to Bricks." To which Kimball Musk immediately jumped in with, "A moment of silence, please, for all the bricks that have been unfairly maligned when being compared to Navarro." So, if Peter Navarro is dumber than a sack of bricks, that makes Donald Trump dumber than a sack of what exactly, according to Elon Musk? We might be days or weeks away from finding out how Elon Musk will publicly complete the sentence, "Donald Trump is dumber than a sack of blank." And so Donald Trump is desperately worried tonight. He is desperately worried about the crashing stock market, which has lost $6 trillion in value, thanks entirely and exclusively to Donald Trump, following the advice of a person called a moron by a person Donald Trump describes as a genius. And now Donald Trump is worried that the person he thinks is a genius is going to be calling him a moron any day now. And Donald Trump is worried that he will then lose access to the unlimited amount of political money the richest person in the world has been willing to give Donald Trump and willing to use in Republican politics to threaten Republicans to stay in line with Donald Trump. Elon Musk's money is the single most important new element in Donald Trump's ability to continue to hold on to Republicans' public loyalty. But that Republican loyalty is beginning to crumble thanks to Donald Trump following the advice of Peter Navarro. We all know just how cowardly every single Republican member of Congress is when it comes to anything involving Donald Trump. And so it is a hugely significant crack in the wall of Trump Republican loyalty tonight that the most senior Republican member of the Senate, Chuck Grassley, who has never been in favor of presidentially imposed tariffs before Donald Trump was elected, has introduced a bill with a total of 7 Republican co-sponsors to limit the president's ability to raise tariffs without Congress's approval. So that's 7 Republicans willing to go public against Donald Trump on tariffs, and 4 more Republicans emerged today in the Senate Finance Committee, which has jurisdiction over tariffs, taking shots at Donald Trump's tariffs.
I'm assuming this all got gamed out because it's a novel approach. It needed to be thought out. Whose throat do I get to choke if this proves to be wrong?
When the day comes, Donald Trump will personally invite Senator Thom Tillis to choke Peter Navarro. The way this story is going to end is Donald Trump is going to back down on these tariffs. It could take several months for Donald Trump to back down. It could take weeks. It could take days. We don't know. But a year from now, these crazy Trump tariffs will be history, and Republicans will be running away from them as they run for re-election to the United States Senate and to the House of Representatives. And Donald Trump is going to fire Peter Navarro because Wall Street will demand it.
North Carolina's Thom Tillis chose The Rock, announcing that he will not seek another term, and he slammed the president on the bill's Medicaid cuts.
What do I tell 663,000 people in 2 years or 3 years when President Trump breaks his promise by pushing them off of Medicaid because the funding's not there anymore, it is inescapable that this bill in its current form will betray the very promise that Donald J. Trump made in the Oval Office.
So today, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said that Senator Tillis is, and these are her words, just wrong. But listen to what the president has been saying on the subject going back a decade and decide for yourself.
Save Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security without cuts. Have to do it. We're going to love and cherish Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. We're not going to do anything with that.
Can you guarantee that Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security will not be touched?
Yeah, I mean, I have said it so many times, you shouldn't be asking me that question.
What happens if it comes to your desk, has the tax cuts, but also cuts to Medicaid? Would you veto that?
No, we're not doing that.
Would you veto that?
I would if they were cutting it, but they're not cutting it. We're not cutting Medicaid. We're not cutting Medicare.
A lot to get to tonight. CNN Chief White House Correspondent Caitlin Collins starts us off. Caitlin, how concerned is the White House about potential cracks in the Republican coalition?
I mean, they're watching all of this and watching Senator Thom Tillis, in that skating floor speech on Sunday, John. But then, of course, after he announced that he was not going to be seeking re-election, the president was cheerleading that and saying essentially good riddance to Thom Tillis, given they believe he's been a thorn in their side during all of this. And John, obviously, when they look at this overall, and I've been talking to White House officials about what they think is ultimately going to happen here, they do think this will pass. They don't think Republicans are going to defy the president on his signature legislation.
Senators advising the president are not telling him that the effect of this bill is to break a promise. Republicans are about to make a mistake on health care and betraying a promise. It is inescapable that this bill in its current form will betray the very promise that Donald J. Trump made in the Oval Office or in the cabinet room when I was there with finance, where he said, we can go after waste, fraud, and abuse on any programs. Now, those amateurs that are advising him, not Dr. Oz, I'm talking about White House healthcare experts, refuse to tell him that those instructions that were to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse all of a sudden eliminates a government program that's called the provider tax. We owe it to the American people, and I owe it to the people of North Carolina to withhold my affirmative vote until it's demonstrated to me that we've done our homework. We're going to make sure that we fulfill the promise, and then I can feel good about a bill that I'm willing to vote for. But until that time, I will be withholding my vote.
Senator Thom Tillis took a stand and then took his medicine. The North